Hey everybody, Matty here with Altcoin Buzz. Happy Thursday. Hope you're having a great one. Okay, today we are discussing all the controversy that is surrounding Bitcoin Cash at the moment. But in order to set the stage for what they're suggesting, which is effectively a new tax at 12.5%, there are pros and cons to discuss. We're going to first look back to Zcash that was introduced in 2016, all the way back in 2016, 4 years ago. And you may remember, based on the foundational structure of that company, there was a 15% fee that went over to the founders fund, to the founders reward. And this went towards research, developing use cases, things like that, although it wasn't generally well received because people thought of it as kind of greedy. However, it's also important to note that for Zcash, that 15% tax is actually ending in 2020, this year, with a new tax-free structure. But now you have Bitcoin Cash that have issued their latest development plan. On the 22nd of January of this year, it was announced that a new funding plan called the Mandatory Funding Plan has been privately agreed upon by the Bitcoin Cash Mining Group and will be implemented on the 15th of May 2020 in conjunction with the next protocol upgrade for the Bitcoin Cash network. Now, to be fair, there are some pros associated with this fee structure that we'll discuss. There are also some cons as well. But Roger Ver and Bitcoin.com are not happy, and they're looking to basically distance themselves from this as much as possible, as is a Canadian company, a Canadian mining firm, which has publicly rejected Bitcoin Cash's tax plan. This is all very significant because there's also a Bitcoin Cash halving that is coming up before the Bitcoin halving. Bitcoin's halving, don't forget, is in May of this year, May of 2020. Well, Bitcoin Cash's halving is coming up even sooner, in just over 2 months. That's going to be happening in early April. We'll discuss how all of this is affecting the price of Bitcoin Cash. We'll discuss different people's opinions. As you can imagine, some people are for, some people are against. As of this moment right now, price hasn't been impacted too much. Things are more or less flat in terms of Bitcoin Cash. We haven't really seen a response to the upside or the downside. And as far as the rest of the market, we're also pretty much flat and on par with where we were yesterday. So if you're happy with yesterday's performance in the markets, you'll likely be happy with today's. One final word is that we'll invite you to stick to the end of this video to make sure you have all the details you need on how to enter this week's giveaway coming up in just a couple of days. We are giving away yet another crypto tag Zeus starter kit. So as I mentioned, Bitcoin Cash is now imposing this mandatory funding plan in which a 12.5% fee structure is going to be extracted from Bitcoin Cash miners. Now, it's going to go towards developers. It's not exactly a greedy move. However, it's the sort of thing that people don't really have a say in, and that's, I think, is what is irking largely the mining community. However, the idea is that this is going to be able to provide developers with more resources, which is going to lead, of course, to more transactions and more value ultimately, and more excitement for the project. Some are already saying, such as those on Bitcoinist.com, that the Bitcoin Cash so-called development tax is already a colossal mistake. The block reward ownership, it's being challenged by many, even though it's only being implemented for a 6-month term. In other words, it's going to start this year and run for 6 months with an expected end date of the 15th of November 2020. So the proposal is to create a special developer tax, but that could split the Bitcoin Cash community and cause more harm than good. It was stated that the mandatory funding plan is proposed because Bitcoin Cash protocol developers do not have sufficient funds to support their continued infrastructure work. And as a result, the Bitcoin Cash community has been discussing how to pay for the sustained protocol development work needed for the Bitcoin Cash network. As I mentioned, the Bitcoin Cash Mining Group has already announced that the mandatory funding plan is intended to last 6 months, up until mid-November of 2020, and it's going to divert approximately $6 million worth of Bitcoin Cash coins from miner block rewards to a new Hong Kong corporation, which would then provide funding to Bitcoin Cash developers. Here's what they're saying about that business plan. Quote, the Hong Kong company would then raise capital by disposing of its newly issued tokens, for example, by selling them to investors. A market for these tokens is guaranteed if key exchanges cooperate by running software to enforce the issuance of the Hong Kong company. For example, blocks that did not issue tokens would not be considered legitimate Bitcoin Cash by the exchange. The proceeds from these token sales would then be used to fund further work by these developers and to grow this Bitcoin Cash enterprise. But as the article states here, this is opening up yet another can of worms because Bitcoin Cash is going to have to rely on exchanges once again to follow their agenda and absorb yet another technological demand from Bitcoin Cash. As you can imagine, many people are upset with this development. No details have been provided about who controls this new Hong Kong-based corporation or who will decide how to spend the Bitcoin Cash coins raised from the 12.5% forced contribution by miners. And here on ccn.com, hash war obviously looms as Bitcoin Cash tax drama explodes. A group of Bitcoin Cash miners is ready to launch an all-out war in response to the recently announced miners tax. In a nutshell here, an anonymous group of miners announced plans to hard fork a new Bitcoin Cash blockchain if tax on miners isn't removed. A group claims to control 42% of the Bitcoin Cash hash rate, with plans to expand it to 2.5 exahash per second by the May 15th fork date, and a repeat of 2018's costly hash war could very well be on the horizon at this point. To add to the drama, you have Bitcoin.com that has withdrawn from Bitcoin Cash's proposal to divert part of block rewards to the development fund. Roger Ver is not on board with this plan. Therefore, the Bitcoin Cash community is very much splintered at this moment. Bitcoin.com said in a blog post on Tuesday it will, quote, not go through with supporting any plan unless there is more agreement in the ecosystem such that the risk of a chain split is negligible. Bitcoin.com will not risk a chain split or a change to the underlying economics. In order to do this, any proposal will need to have as many people of economic weight on board as possible, including businesses, exchanges, miners, and Bitcoin Cash implementations. We have not only Roger Ver, but now a Canadian mining firm, Tal, which have publicly rejected Bitcoin Cash's tax plan. So Tal, T-A-A-L, is a Canadian Bitcoin mining firm which mines Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV. They've announced their plans to no longer mine on the Bitcoin Cash chain. And this announcement comes in response to the unilateral announcement to impose a 12.5% mining tax on miners in order to fund Bitcoin Cash development. We very much have dissension in the ranks right now, or at least disagreement to say the very, very least. However, if you think about it, Bitcoin.com is not a powerhouse in terms of the Bitcoin Cash mining pool. They only account for 0.39%, which is a figure I found to be surprisingly low. Therefore, here on AssumeTech.com, Bitcoin Cash dev tax still might go live despite Roger Ver, who has revoked support. As reported by Zhang Zhuor, CEO of among the biggest mining swimming pools on Bitcoin Cash, BTC.top, used to direct 12.5% of mining benefits to support the Bitcoin Cash facilities over a 6-month duration. Zhuor's post consisted of a danger to orphan the non-complying Bitcoin Cash blocks. Those blocks would no longer be consisted of the Bitcoin Cash blockchain, leaving a miner without the benefit. BTC.top, the proposition was signed by other big mining pools such as Antpool, Via BTC, BTC.com, and Bitcoin.com. That is until Bitcoin.com withdrew its support on Tuesday. And again, another layer that we have to consider in the context of all of this is the fact that Bitcoin Cash's halving is just around the corner. And because of potentially high fees and lower rewards, many are expecting the Bitcoin Cash chain to become much weaker. Here are a couple of opinions on Twitter. Dan Heddle: the halving will be catastrophic for Bcash. Bcash halving occurs first, and then block subsidy drops in half. Miners switch to Bitcoin, since don't forget they share the same hashing algorithm, and then security spend becomes dangerously low. 51% attacks become easy. However, you have others, to be fair, that are more optimistic. Take Doby Forever, a Bitcoin Cash supporter who thinks the market will act contrary to the sentiment. She believes this is all just FUD and great gains are expected from Bitcoin Cash. She had the following tweet just a few hours ago: Bitcoin Cash above $4,000 this year, to which we responded, I thought the mining reward tax was going to deter you away from being so bullish, to which Doby responded, actually quite the opposite. The amount of FUD around this is not justified if you really look at the actual probability of the proposal actually coming to fruition. I'm mega bullish now, being a contrarian. Interesting. In that case, I am assuming that you are taking the FUD around Bitcoin Cash halving also positively. It's always great to hear your perspective. Doby has also said that she finds it probable that Bitcoin Cash would be about half the price of Bitcoin in the coming bull market. So that's where Bitcoin Cash stands right now. It's a very difficult balancing act to execute because on the one hand, you want to have the resources that are going to make development, that are going to make growth and a blossoming ecosystem realistic. On the other hand, you got to make sure the details of that business plan, you got to make sure that they're really nailed out and they're fleshed out correctly. It sounds like in this case, the idea may be noble, it may be a good one. I'm not opposed to a certain tax, a modest one at least that goes towards the right things, but it seems to me there's no reassurance as to what those things are. That whole Hong Kong corporation seems to be very, very poorly planned out, and I think people are rightly skeptical of it. That happens to be my opinion. Unless you know more about it, I personally just don't see how that's going to end well. You can check this out on sawihall.tv, Blockchains, Miners, and Taxes, Methods to Finance Growth. It's a good article here that's a little bit more abstracted, but looking at some of the potential, including Charlie Lee, who suggested a 1% tax for Litecoin miners. Charlie Lee has said the following: I think a better way to fund development is mining pools voluntarily donating a portion of the block reward. How about Litecoin pools donate, let's say 1%, or about 0.125 Litecoin of block rewards to the Litecoin Foundation? If every miner and pool does this, it amounts to about $1.5 million of donations per year. And that's a fair suggestion. Again, as long as it's outlined, as long as it's not sprung on people in a hurry and implemented without warning, I can get behind this kind of thing. But it's got to be something that is fleshed out properly, that is planned well enough and executed well to make sure the community isn't outraged. And that seems unfortunately to be the case here with Bitcoin Cash. I can't imagine the war that's going to ensue if Roger Ver continues to publicly denounce these initiatives. On Cointelegraph.com, you can also read about how the Zcash community approves of the new mining rewards distribution scheme. Let us know your opinion about this kind of stuff. Again, it's always a tightrope that you have to walk. But that about wraps it up for today, everybody. Do be sure you're following us on all the regular social media channels and keep checking back into altcoinbuzz.io for all the latest. Go ahead, like, subscribe, share, and hit the bell to receive notifications if you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget about our upcoming giveaway on Saturday. It's just a couple of days away. We're giving away another Crypto Tag Zeus starter kit. To be eligible for that prize, all you have to do is make sure you're subscribed to Altcoin Buzz on YouTube, like videos between giveaways, and comment similarly on videos between this upcoming Saturday and our last giveaway, because we select first a video at random and then a comment at random that corresponds to a winner. Best of luck if you choose to participate in the contest. Have a great Thursday, everybody. Best of luck if you choose to invest, and as always, we do hope to see you again soon in our next video. Take care.